Siomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tiny Room. Welcome back to On Siomra Beag. I'm the Michael of Michaelandbenjaminspodcast, and I am joined by the man who knows that when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing. It's Benjamin.
It's me.
Hello, Benjamin.
And that one thing, Michael, is that hip-hop is God.
Hip-hop for life,
Hip-hop is
Ben.
life.
Look, Benjamin, we've got quite a lot to get through this week, so why don't we go straight into the theme music?
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Very good, Ben. So, Ben, what we'll do, I think, because we've got a lot to get through this week, is we'll have a look at some trailers and some news. Then we'll move into a review, and then we'll go into our famous topic for the week.
Yes, our classic Mick and Ben's conceit, a topic of the week.
A topic of the week. Benjamin, it's kind of San Diego Comic-Con time.
Yes, Michael, but as you'll notice, neither of us have made our yearly pilgrimage on a long plane to that America to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
And a plane of normal length, really. But yes, you're right. We haven't made the trip. Benjamin, speaking of spooky horror things.
Excellent segue. Well done.
But there's lots of trailers, Ben, and I enjoy a trailer.
Well, I tell you what is spooky and scary, Michael, to give you a better segue. The bloody amount of cases in the United States of America. Another bloody reason. Spooky, scary stuff.
Oh, very good.
Now you can give your segue. Go on.
There's a show coming, and it's called Lovecraft Country. What do you think of that?
Now, Michael, when I saw this trailer, I went, do you know what?
Yeah.
This is something that would merit Michael Leonard making a t-shirt that said Lovecraft Country for life.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. You're making fun of my t-shirt. It seems to be what you're mostly doing here.
Yeah. That's going to be the podcast for today, Michael. You think I'm going to talk about pop culture things.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to twist everything into a quick and snippy t-shirt joke.
Little joke about my t-shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen, that says hip hop for life, which I firmly believe in, as I would only ever wear a t-shirt with a slogan which I firmly believed in, and Benjamin is making fun of me for it. So that's what I think of that. Anyway, Benjamin, what's it called? Lovecraft Country. Lovecraft Country is the longest in a long line of TV shows with like Hollywood A-list casts and celebrities, and it looks very much like it's going to be purely a show about racial tensions in America in the olden days.
That seems to be HBO's new model ever since the relative success of Watchmen.
Watchmen, yeah, that was had some of the same themes in it. But this one, Ben, is also about monstrons.
Yes, classic monstrons. Monstrons that you and I quite often discuss in this podcast, Michael. The monstrons that you are responsible for piquing my interest in.
Yeah, look, Ben, I enjoy Lovecraft, and it's interesting that what this... Ben, famously, H.P. Lovecraft wrote horror stories about monsters and ancient evil and gribbly wibblies.
Yes.
But he didn't trust either coloured people or women.
Not great.
Yeah, not my choice of words there, but this is what I'm saying. All of the goodies in his books were white men who lived alone and probably had a weird fascination with their own mothers. And all of the bad people, or the people who just weren't mentioned, were anyone else.
Or a woman.
Yeah, a woman. We wouldn't have a woman now.
We wouldn't have a woman now because that leads to the corruption.
I think there are as many named female characters in the works of H.P. Lovecraft as there are in the Quran.
Which is a grand total of about half of one.
I think it's 3. But anyway, look, Benjamin, this looks like I'll probably give it a watch. My fear about it is that it will be slow.
I think it's going to be a slow builder, Michael. I think it's going to be a slow builder. But, Michael, I'm intrigued to see it. I'm intrigued to see the whole thing. There seems to be an interesting kind of questioning of lots of racial things that are accepted today. I don't know, this idea that the black people have earned something or it's their right, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, be careful what you wish for because it could be bloody monsters.
Big gribbly wibblies, and they're going to come and get you with their tentacles.
It seems to be a little bit of an investigation of... the black radical mindset. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, Michael.
We'll have a look, Ben. We'll have a look at it, Benjamin.
Yeah.
The other interesting gribbly-wibbly horror-worry thing that happened this week, Benjamin, was a trailer for the inexplicably existing Hellstrom.
So, Michael, originally I thought this was a Disney Plus thing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a bloody Hulu thing.
Yeah.
And, Michael, it looks bad.
It's Hulu, Ben. Hulu famously brought us The Runaways, Marvel's The Runaways, and Marvel's Cloak and or Dagger. Yeah, I mean, not two of the most prestigious things that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has spat forth.
Well, apparently, Michael, it's been noted by Marvel because they haven't put their name anywhere near this one.
Isn't that the most peculiar thing, Ben? It seems to be about a family, a siblings, a brother and a sister, and the man is like a ghetto Dan Stevens, and the sister is and the sister is like a sexy stern. What's her name? Evangelista Lilly. Haircut.
Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
And they're investigating their satanic mother, Ben. But, I mean, Hellstrom is a Marvel character, Ben, but you wouldn't know that from this.
Yeah, but they wouldn't mention it even a little bit, Michael. Even a little bit. Wasn't even a hint of a red and white logo.
No, not a
Anywhere
single thing. Not a single... Tony Stark was here, he'd sorted it out. Benjamin,
yes.
Which of the two things do you think are happening here? Is it thing option 1? Someone along the line has said, let's see if this can stand on its own merit, and we'll do a subtle linking it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe halfway through and people will be blown away, but it'll stand on its own merit. Or option 2, has some producer said, you're not putting the Marvel logo on that shite?
I hazard a guess, Michael.
Get away from me, I've no time for it.
I'm going to give you now estimation. I reckon they've had the rights to Hellstrom for a while.
Yeah.
And they are sticking to their guns and making that show one way or another.
Yeah.
And I think Marvel has said, well, you can bloody make it if you want, but if you put my bloody logo anywhere near it,
I've no
slap on
time
the
for
wrist.
it. I've no use for it. Get away from
me.
me.
So I think it's probably option B, Michael.
Yeah. Me too.
What amazes me is the cojones this is going to take. Because Hellstrom, as a character, is about as D-list as they come.
He's the
in the Marvel universe.
I mean, you might as well get Elsa Bloodstone in there with him. She might be, actually.
Reference. I think they probably will.
Yeah,
she'll really crop up.
That wouldn't shock me.
He has often been a weird, topless, cape-wearing... He's like the classic Halloween costume that you buy in a shop. It's a red fake silk kind of cape with a collar, and you get the little horns and you sit them on your head, and you get a little trident with the costume. That is exactly what Hellstrom was when he was created.
So, Benjamin, the guy in it who looks a bit like Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens is my favourite actor of all time now at the moment.
Do you know what I watched yesterday, Michael, with Dan Stevens in it?
Eurovision.
Bloody Fire Saga.
He's very good, isn't he?
I enjoyed it far too much, Michael. His commitment
to that character is spectacular. I went back and watched a bit of Legion, Ben, because I really enjoy Legion.
Yes.
And Dan Stevens he's a gem. He should be in more stuff.
I recently watched his bizarre horror film, The Apostle.
Oh, I haven't got around to it, Benjamin. Was it any use?
Excellent, Michael. 100% recommend. No great horror fan am I, Michael, but get bloody Michael Sheen in there with a bloody Dan Stevens.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah, a horror film about Tony Blair.
I knocked my gavel on the table, but I didn't want to ruin the recording, so it was a fictional gavel, Michael, but bloody sold.
Hold on 1 second, though.
Oh, no.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to On Shomer Biog. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. I am the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I'm joined by the man who knows that when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing. It's Benjamin. Say hello, Benjamin.
Michael.
Yes.
We've done this before.
Did we? What are you talking about?
What day is it?
It's the Sunday after Comic-Con.
No, it's Monday.
Oh, is it?
No, it's Monday.
Oh, things are moving along. Anyway, look, Benjamin, we've got quite a lot to get through, so why don't we just go straight into the theme music?
Oh, okay.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Okay, Ben, you're very good. Why don't we go, Ben, what we'll do is, because we've got a lot to go through, so why don't we go through our usual of, we're looking at news and trailers and stuff, and then we'll move on to a review of the week, and then we'll go on to our famous conceit of having a topic.
Is this because I didn't give money to that homeless beggar in the street?
No, we do this every week, Ben. It's not a form of punishment.
No.
I mean, it is a form of punishment in many ways, but I mean, not this specific episode is no form of punishment.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Benjamin.
Yeah.
You always struck me as someone who's looking to find what's going on behind the scenes. He's always seeking the truth, as it were.
Yeah. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, this week
Yeah.
We got a lot of trailers because SDCC is supposed to be on, and one of those trailers is for a new television show, Michael, starring none other than jolly English chubby man Nick Frost.
Oh yeah, he's pretty famous, isn't he? He was in that Kung Fu show.
He was in that Kung Fu show. Wait, which Kung Fu show?
The Wasteland? Enter the Wasteland? Enter the one that was filmed here.
Sure, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
He was.
Anywho.
Yes.
He's going to be in a new one, and it's a piss take of all the paranormal little YouTube channels that are popping up.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and it's just going to be him kind of being like, well, I've been around. I've done some ghosts. I've seen some ghosts. And then obviously something funny happens to prove that perhaps he's not as experienced as he would hope.
Oh.
So it looks interesting. It's got none other than longtime comedic partner of that particular chubby fat Englishman, Simon Pegg.
He has other qualities as well.
Simon Pegg. Yes, he's also great at making a cup of tea.
He makes a good cup of tea, yeah.
He makes a good cup of tea. Simon Pegg is going to cameo in it quite a bit, which is interesting because Simon Pegg seems to be going from strength to strength in terms of his Hollywood credentials. So it's nice to see him coming back. But Michael, far be it from their early days of a Channel 4 comedy or a BBC 3 comedy. Now, Michael, it's bloody Amazon Prime comedy.
Does that make a difference?
Well, I think the budget is probably exponentially higher.
They can probably say fuck.
They can probably say a fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe a tits. Yeah. Maybe a balls.
Yeah, maybe they might be able to say cock bastard.
Maybe they can say piss off ghost.
Yeah. You can say that in the 12s. Piss off is fine.
Piss off is fine. Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know, Michael.
Yeah,
anyway, it looks like it's going to be a who's who of kind of obscure English comedians because Julian Barnes from The Mighty Boosh seems to be one of the villains for the episodes. He seems to be a mad occultist.
And is it a like a sitcom or is it a semi-serious thing?
No, I think it's a sitcom. I think it's a sitcom. I think it's a farcical kind of take on that whole thing. It seems to be in line, Michael, with the Irish film that we never reviewed on this podcast, but probably should have. Did you see Extra Normal?
No.
Starring Will Forte and a fantastic cast of Irish people about a young lady who can see the ghosts.
No, I didn't see that, Benjamin. Is any use?
She can see the ghosts, Michael, and Will Forte is a Satanist who's set up in a small town in County Louth.
Mm.
And he's bloody kidnapping people and sacrificing them, and she has to stop them. Michael, it's bloody hilarious.
Oh, I've never seen it.
The tone is very much, ghosts are real, but God, it's all awful silly.
Ghosts are real. What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? And I think that's probably the tone we're going for right bloody here, Michael.
Oh. I'll tell you what, Ben, I'll give that a little watch then.
Well, I think you should. I think you bloody should.
I think I bloody will then.
Yeah, but very bloody good. Michael?
Yes?
Moving from that to whatever you have on your running order, because it's more up to date than mine.
Benjamin, speaking of things being a little bit silly and farcical, imagine if you made a movie, a very popular movie in the 80s or early 90s possibly, starring two up-and-coming movie stars. Imagine that. Have you imagined it?
Yes, it's firmly in my mind's eye.
Now imagine Ben deciding, you know what we need? We need a sequel to that nearly bloody 30 years later, where both of those young and up-and-coming movie stars are men well into their 50s.
Yeah, but I mean, we've talked about this before, Michael. Top Gun 2 is not going to be very good.
Very good, yes, it probably won't be. Benjamin, one of the most exciting things to come out of Top Gun 2 was they're doing a Transformer of his plane.
That's so silly.
It's excellent, and the Transformer's name is Maverick, and it has Maverick's helmet as a head.
That's ridiculous.
It's cool. They're also doing they did last year, Ben, around San Diego Comic-Con time. They did an Ecto-1 Transformer
from Ghostbusters. And this year they've announced the Maverick airplane from Tom Cruise is in an airplane, and the special car from Rick and Morty Go Back in Time. What's that called? Back to the Future. DeLorean.
Back to the Future, yeah. Back to the Future is already a descriptive name of the film, so I can't make that any worse.
Fair enough.
So they're doing a Transformer of him too. Very exciting. Very exciting time to be a Transformers / pop culture fan.
But Michael, that wasn't really the 80s movie you were talking about, was it?
No, I was talking about Bill S. I can't remember what their full names are. Do you remember?
No.
Theodore S. Logan?
I'm not even going to try.
Bill and Ted, Ben. Bill and Ted are back, but they're old men now, and that seems to be most of the humour of it.
Yep, it's like, oh, we were important once and now we're old. Which,
Yeah.
Michael, interestingly enough, is the kind of growing up process for every single human being on the planet. We were special once and now we're not. Yay.
Yeah, let's start a podcast.
Let's start a oh.
I got you where it hurts. Make fun of my t-shirt, will you, you son of a
This
bitch?
was your idea. This whole podcast was you. So I don't know who we're hurting.
Yeah. I might take my t-shirt off. Benjamin.
Go on.
Look, I'll go see Bill and Ted Face the Music, but
I
it's
don't think I will, Michael. It doesn't hold any great place in my heart.
well, it predates you probably, doesn't it? And as we've
It
established
does.
on previous podcasts, you find it very hard to relate to things that happened before you were born.
Yeah, it just makes me panic about my existence. I don't like it. Existential dread is my default setting, and I'd rather avoid it.
Yeah. Ben, speaking of things which originally happened before you were born,
Yep.
New Mutants got a new release date.
Who cares?
It's not going to happen. Did you watch
It's
the
not
trailer?
gonna
Ben?
happen.
Did you
No, I
watch the
haven't.
opening scene
I
and
haven't.
trailer?
Does it look very similar both in style, aesthetic, and tone to Hulu's upcoming, sure to be classic Hellstrom?
Hellstrom? No, it doesn't actually. It
Oh.
looks like a Fox X-Men film. It looks more like a Fox X-Men film than I thought it would. They've released the opening scene, Ben, as a part of a trailer.
Okay.
And it's around. It revolves around a young Danny Moonstone,
Yes.
and she wakes up to an attack on her townstead.
Oh no, not her
And
townstead.
it appears to be a demon bear that's wrecking the townstead, Ben.
They've taken that line directly from X-Force, Michael. Interesting.
The demon bear.
The Demon Bear. The Demon Bear is it's the plot line to the 2011 relaunch of X-Force starring John Proudstar.
But wasn't the demon bear, Ben, originally a New Mutants storyline about?
What was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
That's
it was.
interesting.
Yeah, the demon bear has been a Marvel character around for quite a while.
Classic
So,
Demon Bear.
Her dad takes her, Ben, into the Fox Forest to hide her from the demon bear.
The old Foxy Forest.
And I was like, oh no, not the Fox Forest. So yeah, it looks like it's going to look like every other X-Men film. The only thing,
Fox Forest.
the only
Would
thing
you like
that-
to? Would you like to expand on that for people that might
The
not
Fox
understand
Forest.
that we're not talking about the small animal?
No, not a forest full of foxes. Then I would say a foxy forest. I'm talking about the Fox Forest, which is the forest near to the production studio that Fox Film uses and sets at least one scene in every X-Men film in.
Yeah, it's a big sparse forest with very
Yeah.
stripped down pines.
It's the forest where Magneto's family were killed in X-Men Apocalypse. It's the forest where Magneto had his gathering of evil mutants in X-Men 3. It's the forest
Which was a bit,
where...
it was a bit morbid when you think about it. If his entire family was killed there once upon a time, but then again,
Oh,
X-Men timelines, huh?
No, but I mean, it played a different forest on
No,
screen.
I know,
but it's
Michael,
the
I
same
know.
forest, Ben. It's the
I'm
same
being
forest
facetious.
it's the same forest where the X-Men camped in X-Men 2.
Oh yeah, the classic camp. scene.
Yeah, it's the same place where Logan fought his doppelganger. It's that forest. You know the forest, the X-Men
It's a
forest.
classic forest. It's
Yeah,
the X-Men
so-
forest.
They take the first thing that happens in the trailer is her dad takes her into the forest, and you're like, "Oh Christ, on a bike! Have we not seen this forest enough? Please, for the love
I
of
think we have.
take her to a sewer, take her to the moon, literally anywhere except the bloody X-Men forest."
Yeah, anywhere but there.
Yeah. No, I'm
it's
not
no
for
good.
it. I'm not
no
for
good.
going to the X-Men forest. But my hopes are that Magic saves the movie, and that hopefully she's the breakout character that everyone loves, but she could just be annoying.
Which one? Who's playing Magic again?
What's her name? She was in The Witch. She was in Split.
Oh yeah, is it Lily James?
No,
Lily
it's
James.
Anne something. Oh Christ, how have I forgotten her name? You know her. You'd know her, Ben. You'd know her from. She's got big eyes.
You'd know her. A classic informative podcast trope.
You'd know her. She's got big eyes. You know the one who I'm talking about.
There are so many actresses in Hollywood that have big eyes.
Yeah.
Really
That's the
doesn't
one I
narrow
mean.
it down
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all.
That's the one I'm
Okay.
talking about.
What else are we talking about today?
Anya Taylor-Joy. It's Anya
Anya
Taylor-Joy.
Taylor-Joy. There she is.
It's Anya Taylor-Joy.
There she is. What else are we talking about today, Michael?
Hello. Welcome back to On Shomer Bjog. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. I am the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined by the man who knows that when that hotline blings, that can only mean one thing. It's Benjamin. Say hello, Benjamin.
This has to be because I'm a closeted narcissist sociopath and the universe is playing some bizarre trick on me. I'm just going to have to go through it till I crack it.
Nothing bloody closeted about it, Ben. Look, Ben, we've got a lot to get through this week, so why don't you just take us straight into the theme music?
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Very good. Benjamin, as I said, we've got a lot to get through, so why don't we go straight into this week's review of the week? And then after we finish that, we'll take on this week's topic.
Nothing matters, Michael.
Nothing really matters, Ben. Anyone can see that nothing really matters to me.
No, you don't understand, Michael, but that's okay.
Yes,
How could you?
So, Benjamin, you told me this week to watch a show, and
Yes.
I can't remember what you said. I purposely misheard you, so instead of watching what you recommended, I watched Sweet Valley High.
Great.
Yeah.
I'd say that was a waste of time, was it?
Well, Ben, it's sometimes, Ben, you're just walking around and you look right down the clouded hall and you see there's a beauty standing. Is she really everywhere, Ben, or a reflection?
When we wonder...
One always calls out to you, the other shy and quiet. Could there be two different girls who look the same? Benjamin, that theme tune was written by someone who doesn't understand the concept of twins. Could there be two girls who look the same at Sweet Valley? Of course there could. They're twins.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, Ben, is that what I
very
was
good.
supposed to watch?
No, it wasn't, Michael. What you were supposed to watch was
Yes.
Palm Springs.
You see why I got confused, though.
Yes, because they're almost identical in every way. Ladies and gentlemen, this week I watched Palm Springs. Andy Samberg and Kristen I'm going to get this wrong. Milioti. I think is
Okay.
how you pronounce it.
I don't know who they are.
New Groundhog Day riff, homage, whatever you want to call it, Michael.
Wait, it's about a time loop, is it?
It's about a time loop. Let's do the time loop again. Do 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 do
Okay.
do do.
I see what you're
Okay,
doing.
and
Yeah.
it's all about that, Michael. And in this,
Yeah.
it's very interesting, Michael. It kind of innovates on it. One of my favorite things, Michael, about the time loop genre is that with each iteration, a
Yeah.
brand new kind of twist is added to it.
Very
and my
good.
other favorite thing about the time loop genre, Michael,
Yeah.
is that because Groundhog Day exists,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to explain the rules. So what you can do now is you
Exactly.
can bloody start your story midway if you want to, because
In
all you
media
have to
res,
do,
Ben.
all you have to do is say the magic words. It's
Yeah.
a time loop, and
Yeah,
people
yeah,
go,
yeah.
"Oh,
It's a time loop. It's a Groundhog Day type situation.
yeah." So who we meet in this is Andy Samberg's character of Niles, and Niles, at the point in the story at which we enter, has already lived a horrific amount of time in the same
Right.
time loop.
Very interesting. It starts in media res. That's very interesting, Ben.
For Niles, but not for Kristen Milioti's character.
Okay.
She is at her sister's wedding,
Yeah.
and it's a big bloody mess, Michael. It's a classic American wedding full of tantrums and shenanigans and
People hitting
Michael.
on bridesmaids.
Drunken bridesmaids making terrible speeches. What a mess. And then, Michael,
Classic. Is
when
Seth
she's-
Rogen there?
my favorite bit of this is probably the scene that opens us to the character of Niles, is the scene whereupon
Yeah.
Kristen Milioti's character is called on to make a speech. She wasn't aware, so she's drunk out of her gird. So Andy Samberg stands in and he's like, let me fix that. And he gives an amazing speech, and everybody goes, oh, this is incredible. And then following that, she sees him on the dance floor, and we have the classic Groundhog Day where he predicts everything that's going to happen
very
before
good.
it happens. But all while he's dancing to a jaunty tune. So he's kind of, shimmying his way across the dance floor.
Oh, so
And
they're having a bit of fun with
circumventing
it.
his answers. So it's great, Michael. Very playful, very fun. And then, Michael,
Yeah.
wham! They
Yes.
hit you.
Go on.
Bloody existential nightmare, Michael. And the big twist for this
Well, okay,
particular...
hold on. Let's put a little spoiler break in.
Let's put a little spoiler break in.
Actually, I'll answer a couple of questions from you before you put a spoiler break in.
Go on.
Is this a sitcom?
It's not a sitcom. It's not a show. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie, Michael.
It's a new movie from Netflix.
It's from Hulu.
I thought you don't like Hulu, Ben.
I do like it now, apparently.
Oh, you're back on board.
This was quite good.
Benjamin, I don't know if you know this, but Hulu are making a TV show of the Marvel character Hellstrom.
Are they?
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I talked about that already, but
No,
obviously
brother
not.
and sister pair.
What day is it?
It's Sunday.
No, it's not. It's Monday.
Well, it's Monday for the listeners. It's Sunday for us.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so moving on from there.
Spoilers. Here we go. Here come the spoilers.
Moving
What's
on
the
from
big
there.
twist? What's the big twist, Ben?
the big twist is that you can now pull other people into this time loop.
Oh.
Oh.
Ben, there's very little, Ben. There's very little I enjoy more, Ben, than a twist on a trope.
And this, Michael, is one of the best executed twists I think you're likely to find.
On the trope of the time loop.
Very, very good, Michael. I enjoy it. So the kind of MacGuffin to this little shindig is a cave.
Okay.
And the cave
at a wedding.
The cave at a wedding. So they're in Palm Springs, which is a desert area of the United States. Kind of a holiday destination, I suppose, in the United States, because it's all warm and sunny and carcinogenic and, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And there's a cave, Michael, and there's an earthquake in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And the cave opens up.
Oh,
and when
like
you go
Aladdin.
into the cave, you get sucked into the time loop. Okay?
Oh, no.
Now, Andy Samberg's character somehow found himself in the cave. It is never explained how he found his way to the cave, but it doesn't really matter, Michael.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. He knows that it's the cave. My favorite thing about the cave is that it only appears at around 1 o'clock in the day in the time loop. Because the earthquake doesn't happen until about 1 o'clock, so it's not a constant. You have to wait for it to open and stuff like that. Very entertaining, Michael. And anyway, he is doing his time loop thing.
Yeah.
And kind of having a good time. But he makes a mistake twice. Now, these are slight spoilers, but they won't spoil everything for you in the film.
Okay.
The first time, he meets none other than J.K. Simmons.
The actor J.K. Simmons?
The actor J.K. No, he meets a character played... Roy is the name of the character played by J.K. Simmons. And Roy is a bit of a hedonist. And he and Andy Samberg go on a big drug-fueled binge into the desert.
Very exciting.
And Hank is kind of a jaded father, and he's like, "Oh, it's all downhill from here, buddy." And and Andy Samberg, because he's out of his mind on drugs, you see, says, "Oh, I can show you all the answers you seek to your existential crisis." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And so he brings him to the cave, Michael. And this is where Andy Samberg realizes that if you bring somebody into the cave, they get stuck in the time loop with you.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And then the most interesting thing about the Roy character from that point on is he hates Andy Samberg.
Of course he does,
because Andy Samberg took him away from his life. So he hunts him down in certain loops and tortures him. And
that's interesting.
It's really interesting, Michael.
That's a good twist.
It's really interesting.
There's a second character in the loop who has it in for the main character in the loop.
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah.
That's new, Ben.
And then Christian Miliotti's character, whose name I cannot remember.
Who is she now? Who is she? What would I know her from?
She's from How I Met Your Mother. She's the wife in How I Met Your Mother.
She was
the mother in How I Met Your Mother.
She was in Black Mirror, the episode about Star Trek.
She was. That's the very lady.
Yeah.
And so she follows Andy Samberg in after he's been attacked by Roy with a bow and arrow because she's concerned for him.
Okay.
And Andy Samberg is bleeding out from several arrows in his back in a very comedic fashion. He's like, "Don't come in here.
I'm bleeding. I've got arrows in me."
Because the cave resets. So the other interesting twist to this is you don't have to fall asleep. You can go to the cave and have an instant reset. Like a save point.
All right.
And then it's kind of just it gets really interesting from there, Michael, because Christine. I'm gonna get the name wrong every time.
The lady actor,
Kristen Milioti, is not the best person. Oh. So she's a good person, but she does shitty things sometimes.
Oh.
And she wakes up in a very bizarre loop. And it's very interesting, Michael, from that point on. Because Andy Samberg wakes up in a perfectly calm loop every day. She doesn't.
Oh,
so it's a lot more torturous for her to relive something she regards as a big mistake. And it's just very interesting, Michael. I think it takes all the seeds dropped in Groundhog Day and kind of expands on those a lot more. Bill Murray's character in Groundhog Day becomes very nonchalant, whereas Andy Samberg's character in this has lived far more time in the loop than Bill Murray ever has. Or that's what they kind of say. We don't know. We can't possibly know.
But he's more jaded and upset.
That's the argument. And he kind of leans into everything is meaningless, fuck it all. It's very interesting, Michael. I strongly recommend 10 out of 10 in my top 3 time loop films.
Really?
Yes. Very good.
I will have to give it a bloody watch then, Ben.
Very good.
Do you want to spoil for us the mechanic of how you get out of the time loop in this particular show? No, because
it's a whole thing.
Right.
No.
Okay.
We're not going to... I really think it would be a disservice to spoil the mechanic.
That's fine, Ben.
I've worked very hard today not to spoil the mechanic.
Coincidentally, Ben, last week's episode of your favourite show and my favourite show, Marvel's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which God. I know you stopped watching halfway through season 1, but has gotten consistently better every year and is now fine.
I don't think that's true.
This week's episode of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was also a time loop episode.
I don't care.
Oh, very good. This is the attitude that people love to hear. This is what this is why people listen to the podcast. People not caring about stuff and misogyny.
Michael, this is my 8,764th time loop episode. Time loop 2, Electric Boogaloo.
It's your second.
I'm done.
It's your second time loop episode. Ben, stop exaggerating.
The only reason I keep doing this in the loop is because every time I don't do it, you die a horrific death.
Oh, very good.
Unbeknownst reason, and I'm sick of watching you die in a horrific
very good.
way.
Like Supernatural. We'll come to that back to that later too. Ben, the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. one. Coincidentally, just time loops have come back this time again. Benjamin, I think we can tell people that if they're interested in hearing about some of the origins of time loops stories, they can listen to our previous time loop episode.
They probably should.
They probably should. For a bit of context about what's going on. We might
do a little
here.
mini vid on the pod.
Yeah.
On the Instagram, so you can check out a little loop. And if you're interested, go bloody click the link. Click the link.
The Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ben one, as opposed to a standard, it's a pretty standard time loop episode. You know, the classics. Waking up, you do the time loop the first time and everything goes wrong. Then you do it the second time when you have those moments of realization, what's going on. Then you do it the third time and you're able to start telling people what to do and what's going to happen. You know, it's a pretty classic format. The little twist on this one is that both Coulson, Agent Philip Coulson,
yes,
who's now an LMD, but that's largely irrelevant.
A life model D guy?
Yeah, he's an LMD now.
Oh, what?
Well, I mean, it's a goodish way if they decide to wrap up, because this is the last season. So if they decide to wrap this season up by reintroducing him and like doing a cameo with Nick Fury, or let's say, I know Robert Downey Jr. is dead in universe as well, but if they decide to fold it back into the main timeline, it would be a good excuse to say why he's back. It's not the original Colt. They're not going to do it, but you know what I mean.
Has that always been the case in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show? Has he always been an LMD?
No, just this season.
Why? What? Did they kill him again?
He died, yeah. He died twice. Doesn't matter, Ben. Time loop.
Oh, God.
So the thing in this time loop episode is that two characters are stuck in the time loop.
Okay.
That's Quake and Coulson.
Nice.
And they're the only two stuck in it because they were in like futuristic alien sleeping pods when the thing started.
Classic.
But the little twist on it is, if you die in the time loop,
yes,
in this episode, you forget the previous time loops.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of niggly frustration where they have to keep reminding each other.
Oh.
And just like you said, we actually joined this one in media res.
Oh.
But the kind of little quirk of it is that we see the first three loops from Quake's perspective. Okay. And we think we're 3 loops deep. And then she wakes Coulson up and he tells her we're like 87 loops deep, but you died on the last one.
What?
Isn't that a nice little twist?
Okay, it's a good little twist, Michael. I will give you that.
It's a fun little twist. And unlike often in these time loop episodes, the other thing in this is there's a very clear problem that has to be solved. It's a malfunctioning time machine that's causing it.
Oh, okay. So it's a nice, easy mechanic to
It's
tackle.
Not some metaphysical what's going on, do we have to achieve the perfect day? And in fact, and spoilers coming up for it, they go through loads and loads of shitty days to be able to figure things out. Like it's not a disaster for half the crew to get killed if they figure out one little bit of the puzzle, which they can then bring into the next loop and not have to do that again.
Okay. So
do
they
saying?
End up sacrificing huge amounts of time?
They sacrifice huge amounts of time, and like lots of main characters get crippled and killed, and someone says Deke is dead, and then another character says, yeah, he got shot in the head, and then someone else says, are we supposed to be sad?
Oh wow, okay.
That's quite good.
That is actually quite good. Michael, you have to go watch Palm Springs. Go do it.
Okay, I will watch Palm Springs. I'm probably going to watch it then. I'm probably going to watch it just after this episode.
It's worth a watch. Go on.
But the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode is good, Ben. It has quite a few other little wrinkles in it. For one thing, it's mostly that their time machine has malfunctioned, right?
No.
And it's causing them to do time jumps, but the time jumps are getting faster and faster, so they've ended up doing a jump within a jump. So the time between the time jumps was so small that they did a jump before the last jump could finish, and that's why they're in a loop now.
Ah, okay.
But it introduces another little wrinkle, that they're not infinite.
Oh, it's a decaying timeline.
It's decaying, yeah. And
Russian doll.
Kind of Russian doll, a little bit Happy Death Day.
Oh, nice.
But the only thing is, each time that it happens, they're like a couple of kilometers closer to the black hole. It's good.
Okay.
It's a good episode.
Okay.
It's a good time loop episode.
Okay, all right. I'll give it to you.
Yeah,
I'll let you have it.
Yeah,
I'll let you have
I'll let
it.
you bloody have it now in a minute.
I'll let you bloody have it. Go on.
Yeah.
You can have it.
Well, that's all I want to say about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
All right, fair enough. We put this out to our listeners, Michael.
Yeah,
on the
I've got
old
a few
gram.
more, by the way. But
Okay, go on. You
work
go on. Knock out another one there. Go on. Have fun.
Well, all right. All right, then. Benjamin.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I watched another thing.
Okay.
Benjamin, have you ever heard of the YouTube channel Omeletto?
Yes, the weird. Oh yeah. Omeletto is the strange channel that reaches out and gets permission from all these different indie directors around the world who have made short films and then repost them on their channel. And YouTube was not happy with this until they were like, wait, we get permission every time.
Yeah.
It's a great network for spreading cool indie shorts of all shapes and sizes. It's a great channel, Michael.
It's a very good channel, and some of them are very good, Benjamin. And I watched one about a time loop.
Go on.
It's an episode called Exit Strategy.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
And the writer and director, Benjamin, are a gentleman called Travis Biblay.
Biblay,
or Bible. It could be Bible, but I choose to pronounce it as Biblay. And again, it's only 15 minutes. You've essentially watched a great time loop story in 15 minutes. But, and this is the most fun thing about it, no time loops happen in the 15 minutes.
So he's running through one time loop.
Yes. So Benjamin, we have talked before about, wouldn't it be interesting for there to be a superhero whose power was time loops?
Yes.
Now, there is such a thing already in Doctor Strange, who'll do a Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Oh, yeah. I've come to bargain.
Dormammu, I've come to I forgot, he's an English guy doing an American accent. I can probably do that. Hold on. Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
That is actually the best impression you've ever done on this podcast.
Yeah. That's how English people think Americans speak. So, what are we doing? Benjamin, we talked about before that maybe someone like Hawkeye isn't really just the world's greatest archer and very lucky, that he's actually going through time loops.
Maybe.
And this episode, called Exit Strategy, Ben, it starts incredibly similarly to the famous time loop episode of Supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
With two brothers having breakfast in a common or garden American diner.
Yep, your run-of-the-mill mom and pop stop by the side of the road dine dog.
So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Travis Bible, because this came out last year, Ben, 2019. So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if it turned out that he, in fact, was inspired by that and had the same thought process that we did. Wouldn't it be cool to see if someone kind of weaponized time loops? So we have two brothers. One of them's a genius, Ben.
They have a strong bond.
They don't have a strong bond. That's one of the problems. And they meet up for breakfast. And the genius brother, has discovered how to do time loops.
Oh.
So he takes his brother to try and prevent this catastrophic fire. And he does weird things. He just keeps doing weird things. Like when they stop at a traffic light and a man offers to wash their window, he just pushes down on his brother's leg on the gas pedal so he keeps going.
Okay.
And his brother's like, "What's with you, man?" And he's like, "I told you, time loops."
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So he's he's already done all this.
He's already done it all.
And it's the strange psychosis that someone suffering from a time loop must look like they have.
Yeah. And like he pretty much convinces his brother that he has actually experienced the time loop, because he does all the classics like, what am I going to say next? And he says the same thing, and I can't remember what it is. But yeah, it's good. It's really good because we join it in media res. I think he's done like 380 loops.
Nice.
And towards the end, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but towards the end, we see in kind of flashback form some of the weird things that he's done explained, just in a little flash.
Just a quick little snippet.
A little quick snippet of what happened in one loop.
That sounds very good, Michael.
It is. It's very, very good, and it's very well acted. And there's a Sam and Dean-like relationship between the two brothers.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. No, it's good. Two good actors.
Because one of the best things about Supernatural is the actual relationship between the brothers, Michael.
Yeah, no, I really strongly recommend that you go and watch Exit Strategy by Travis Bibley.
I bloody will right after this, Michael.
Yeah. It's really good.
Michael, that's interesting that you talked about like short little time loops, because Michael, I went back after watching Eurovision Fire Saga.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a huge Rachel McAdams fan, Michael.
Yeah, you are.
She butters my crumpets. She really is a bit of me. And I watched About Time again, Michael.
Oh no.
About Time is 2013's strange rom-com based on a time travel principle. I don't actually think it's a no, Michael. I think it's a very good movie.
Okay.
But anywho, moving on from there, it stars Donald Gleeson and one Rachel McAdams, Michael. And the thing we find out at the start of that movie, Michael, is that Donald Gleeson has a bloody time traveling power.
Yeah.
Bloody time traveling power, right?
Yeah.
And in that time traveling power,
Yeah.
he can go into any dark space, close his eyes, think about a time he'd rather be in, and he goes backwards to that time.
Oh. So he's not really stuck in a loop, per se.
No, but Michael, that's coming. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Don't you worry, Michael.
All right.
Doing this podcast a couple of thousand times now, Michael, doing this exact episode a couple of thousand times, I've actually learned to preempt your questions. And one of the things you love to point out, Michael, on this podcast is when I've made a great mistake and misunderstood the topic. Well, because I'm very good at that, Michael.
Yeah. Well, Benjamin, if you know what I'm going to say next, then what am I going to say next? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Look at the
Hip-hop
thickness
for
of
life.
those sausages. Oh, no. No.
Okay, so moving on from there. The really tragic thing that comes in this story is that Bill Nye plays his father, and this is spoilers for a film.
Bill Nye? Bill Nye the science guy?
Bill Nye, the esteemed British actor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very good to see you, Antor Dick.
One of the two of you. Yeah. He passes away, unfortunately, and Donald Gleeson realizes that in using his power, he can go back to a set time when his father was still alive.
Right.
And there's a bizarre moment that happens, and basically he goes back to this ping pong game that he played with his dad.
Right.
So he can go back and visit his dad.
Yeah.
But he can only go back so far. I can't remember the exact rule.
Right.
But he can only go back to this moment. And every time his father sees him, he realizes what has happened. So they kind of share their last conversation together. But he uses it as kind of a bank to get advice from his dad, because his dad has the same power. It's all the men in his family line have
I haven't
this power.
seen this.
Oh, it's excellent. All the men in his family line have this power. They can travel in time. So his father's fully aware of what has happened. But then we find out that his wife is pregnant.
Oh.
Rachel McAdams, Donald Gleeson's wife, is pregnant. And the father has to tell him that as soon as the son is born, you lose the ability to go past the loop of the birth of one of your children.
That makes sense.
You can't do it. You can't go back in the lineage past when your son was born.
Yeah, that
so
makes
basically,
sense.
Donald Gleeson has to start on a fresh slate, and he can go back to the exact moment of his son's birth, but no further forward, which means he loses the time loop with his dad. And the last time he plays ping pong with his dad in that time loop is heartbreaking, Michael.
No, I don't want to see it.
Tragical.
Don't want to see it.
Tragical, Michael. Utterly devastating to the soul and the emotions there within. It's bloody deep stuff, Michael.
Benjamin, I watched a film about a time loop.
Go on.
Which I'm going to have to be honest with you, Ben. I now feel is an absolute it's a masterpiece of a film, which was terribly underrated when it came out, terribly underseen, complete box office bomb.
Okay.
And even at the time that I saw it, I don't think I loved it. But I watched it again this week, and it is probably it's now my favorite time loop thing. Not movie, thing.
Okay.
Of anything.
Okay.
It's incredible. Ben, the film I'm talking about is Triangle.
I've heard of this film. I have not watched it.
Triangle, Ben, is an Australian-British film set in America for some reason, starring Melissa George.
Don't know who that is.
Melissa George she's an Australian actress. You might remember her from looking like if Katie Loltz from Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes.
And that Oscar-winning British actress whose name has just escaped me. It's literally just Olivia Colman. She looks like...
I love Olivia Colman.
She looks like if they had a baby.
Yeah, she does. I have her here.
Have you looked her up there? She looks like those two had a baby. But she's a very good actress. Or actor, if you prefer.
She does look very like Olivia Colman. That smile is Olivia Colman.
Yeah, she's got some Olivia Colman features, but Katie Lolt's kind of demeanour. Anyway, that's irrelevant because we're just talking about someone's physical appearance now. Triangle, Ben, is about a yacht trip that goes terribly wrong.
Oh no!
And on the yacht trip, Ben, once their yacht has capsized, this happens in the early days, so it's not really spoilers. The people on the yacht are seemingly rescued by an abandoned cruise ship.
Interesting.
And Benjamin, let me tell you, the twists and turns in this are up the wazoo. The thing about this, it's a time loop story. It's 100% a time loop story. But the twist on this time loop story, Ben, is, and I don't know if I'm using the right word here, but it's a recursive time loop.
Okay, you're going to have to help me out there because I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about.
So, Melissa George's character, Jess, I think is her name.
Yes.
She goes on the boat and she experiences this horrible series of events.
Oh, no.
Right? A horrible series of events. Murders, attacks by a horrible masked figure, people being shot and people being impaled. She survives, Ben.
Okay.
She's the last one standing.
Final girl.
Yeah, this is a great shot actually. She's looking in the mirror. The camera pans across the room into the mirror, and then we're following the one on the other side of the mirror. That's a metaphor.
Okay.
And she survives the time loop. The time loop resets, and the original gang arrive on the ship again. But she's there.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And some of the events that happened in the time loop, it turns out were caused by her.
Oh.
Right? So
she's influenced the time loop. And then,
so she goes through the second time loop, Ben. She survives the whole of the second time loop, including now having a better understanding of some of the things that happened in the first time loop.
Okay.
And she goes into the third time loop, and some of the things that happened in the third, some of the things which happened in the first and second time loop, they turned out to have been caused by her on the third time loop.
So she can't pull a god mode here and learn every single intricacy because every time the time loop resets, her previous actions
she's still there. Affected. So there's by the end of it, there's 6 versions of her running around on the ship.
Mad.
And there's one of the time loops where she thinks she's interrupted the time loop, but she hasn't. It's just a bigger loop within a loop.
Oh, God.
And it's absolutely fucking bonkers, but it also all makes complete sense.
That sounds very good, Michael.
It is
sounds like
incredible.
A very enjoyable.
It's so good.
Huh.
And it's
I'll have to go watch that now.
It's just full. It's full of little nods and winks and stuff. Like the name of the ship that they're on is the Aeolus. Aeolus was the Greek god, Ben, of time. And,
look at you.
And more importantly, Ben, the father of Sisyphus.
Oh, that poor fella.
Yeah,
pushing boulders up hills.
And one of the problems that Jess has is she can't remember where her son is. And her son is autistic. And she has a conversation at the start about how
that she can't remember. Sorry, not that he's autistic.
Well, yeah, because, if he's autistic, he probably needs to be helped and she probably would be best off. But she has a conversation with one of the characters saying it's hard because he needs every day to be exactly the same.
Oh.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's the best time loop thing ever written. Primer might be up there with it in terms of being a horrible mess that when you see it 2 or 3 times you go, this is brilliant.
Okay.
But it is brilliant. It is
I'm
incredible.
glad you had that, Michael. That's very good.
Yeah. Watch
very good.
Watch the old triangle, Ben. It's incredible. There's the end of the time loop is signified when she finds a record player that's playing and it's skipping, and she picks it up and starts it again from the beginning, and then the loop begins afresh. But only the first time, because the second time, it's brilliant. It's
Okay,
really good.
so I'm gonna have to go check this out, Michael.
Yeah. Now it's
for
horrible.
myself.
It's a horrible film, but it's already one of my favorite genres, Ben, which is a creepy ship genre.
Yeah, you love a creepy ship.
I love creepy ships. I love thinking about them. I love being on them.
How many times have you been on a creepy ship, Michael?
It's hard to tell because
Countless times.
all the times happened at the same time. Like all the loops, Ben. I mean, it's a treatise on the nature of time, really, isn't it? Because all the loops actually are happening at the same time, and we're just watching one person's progress through it. But really, it's simultaneous, isn't it? If you think about it.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background there, just in case anybody hears that.
She's going mad because of the nature of time.
Nature of time has driven my dog bananas.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we did put this
Liam
out to the
Hemsworth is in
listeners. Yeah, Liam Hemsworth.
Liam
I
Hemsworth
just
is
saw
in
that
it.
when I looked it up. One of the Hemsworth brothers, the less successful of the Hemsworths.
Yeah, and if you watch the trailers, Ben, it's partially funded by AIB.
Anglo-Irish banks.
Allied Irish Banks, but yes.
Anglo-Irish banks would be a weird bank.
No, they did exist. They were the ones that went down. Remember financial crisis 2007. You were 6.
I don't remember anything.
Yeah. Benjamin, go on. The listeners. You were talking about the listeners.
So I put this out to the listeners, Michael, on the Instagram, and they gave us a few suggestions. So I'm just going to go through them, Michael, because we'd hate to be unattentive podcast co-hosts. Looking at the first example there, good friend of the podcast, Coach Jim BJJ.
Yeah.
Said Stargate Season 4, Episode 6. I don't know what that means.
Benjamin, we talked about that on the previous episode that we did on time loops. That is the episode where Teal'c and Colonel Jack O'Neill get stuck in a time loop and have fun.
So if you want to hear more about that, listen to our
It
other
is.
episode
It's a fantastic time loop
podcast.
episode. It's an absolutely great time loop episode.
Noted nemesis of the podcast, well, mainly of me, Pup and Riker, wrote the Dark Tower, and he included a rather sinister threat from that terrible film, which is, if you don't include this, you've forgotten the face of your father.
Yeah,
So
never
I can't
forget the face of your father.
I can't really leave that out here.
So
Michael,
big spoilers coming, Ben, for this. And I don't think we talked about this at the time in the last episode. Do you know how the Dark Tower series ends?
Nope.
So, Benjamin, huge spoilers coming. I mean, these have been out in the public consciousness for 15 years or something, so it's not going to be... But still. Yeah, but if you're working your way through the Dark Tower series and you're not already aware of how it ends. So the Dark Tower series, Ben, and this is not coming from an area of expertise because I've only read some of them.
Okay.
But it's an epic tale, Ben. 15 books, is it?
Something like that.
It's an enormous number of books, Ben. It's an epic tale of a battle between good and evil and the gunslinger and... He's trying to find the Dark Tower, because if he can find the Dark Tower, then he'll be able to sort out the world and all the problems and whatnot, Ben.
Bloody fix all the stuff.
Yeah. And the Dark Tower series, Ben, the 15-book series, the Dark Tower, Ben, finishes with the main character accessing the Dark Tower finally.
Whoop!
And passing through a doorway or something into the final chamber of the Dark Tower, which is where he always had to go. The whole thing was leading to this.
Yes.
And then... the very next line is the first line of the first book.
Oh.
Look, I can tell by your face that you've forgotten the name of your father.
Oh, that's
the face
absolute
of your father?
bollocks.
The face of your father.
That's absolute bollocks.
People were not happy at the time. It's one of the most controversial decisions of all time of an ending.
That's not a time loop. That's bollocks.
It's a time loop.
That should be called Stephen King when the cocaine runs out.
It's an incredibly long time loop. And then, I mean, in an ideal world, you would just go back and read them all again until the same point.
Terrible.
Some people hypothesized, Ben, that the potential movie series that we were going to get was...
the Dark Tower universe.
Yeah, which didn't happen because the first film was a bit of a flop. But it was going to be the second loop.
Oh,
and that there would be small changes.
But there probably weren't. We'll never know now.
Because no one made it, yeah, exactly.
He didn't make any bloody money.
Nope.
So moving on from there, Joanne got in touch with us and she gave us quite a few.
Yeah.
From the third season of Babylon 5, War Without End Part 1, War Without End Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
Which apparently is a famous one. I don't know.
It is.
And she also mentioned that her school would show Groundhog Day on the same day every year, which I found very entertaining.
Just to mess with kids' heads. The Babylon 5 ones, I think, are more of a kind of... I haven't seen them in years, Ben, but I remember them being like a kind of predestination loop rather than a stuck in a time loop. So someone gets sent back in... I'm so badly misremembering this. I think someone gets sent back in time, writes like messages and stuff for themselves in the future, and then like lives through the loop into the future, and then reveal. If I remember, the hood coming down, and it was himself.
Dun.
But I haven't seen that in about 15 years. So if anyone wants to tell us what it is, or maybe I could just watch it.
Well, we'll see, Michael.
Yeah. Any others
so
there, Ben, for the listeners?
The last one that we got was from Irish Fashionista 777, and she gave us something that's a little bit different to what we normally talk about, Michael. Life is Strange, which is a video game all about a young lady with a time loop power.
Yeah. It's a butterfly effect kind of thing in Time is Strange.
Butterfly effect kind of gig.
Yeah, because
so it's not an inescapable loop.
No, she can go back and retry things, basically.
Yeah.
Which is like a really interesting kind of take on video games anyway.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
That's what it is, isn't it? Since the introduction of save points. Yep. Anyone can go back and press F4, F5 or whatever it is and go back and try again and try not to be killed by bandits.
Yeah, well, bandits are notoriously shite.
They're absolute bastards. I have never played Life is Strange, Ben, but it's one of those episodic role-playing games, I think, along the lines of the...
Kind of a Telltale games.
It's not Telltale, though. Apparently it's excellent. I won many games of the year.
I wouldn't know, Michael. I don't play video games. But thank you very much to anyone who wrote into us. We really appreciate it. It always helps us a little bit to see that the topic is, first of all, one that people would like to talk about, and second of all, something that you all already know about. So it saves us a lot of time and effort explaining things that are already fairly stated. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I've checked my notes, Ben. That was all I had.
Very good. I'm delighted. Ladies and gentlemen, join us next week where we'll be talking about time loops for the second time ever on this podcast. We'll be taking a look at time loops. We've done a time loop episode before, Michael, as you'll recall. So we've already done one time loop episode, but next week we'll be doing another time loop episode. We'll be looking at it again. We're going to be calling it Let's Do the Time Loop Again. Keep an eye out for it because we will be posting it up on the Instagram where you can comment and let us know what you think of time loops in general. So, with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us in numerous ways. You'll probably see that post on the Instagram, which is @SeomraBeag, SEOMRABEAG.
It means time in Irish.
It does indeed. Then you can find us on the old interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com. Same spelling with a .com there at the end.
Same meaning too.
If you like this podcast, ladies and gentlemen,
hey, what's wrong with you?
First of all,
what's wrong with you?
Probably get that checked. Yeah. Second of all, be a doll. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Just tell us that we're grand. Just make sure you give us 5 stars. You can write
5 stars.
Any kind of abuse you want.
Yeah, 5 stars means it's fine.
You can call me a malignant sociopath. You can call Mick a demented Fruit Loop. But as long as you give us 5 stars, we're totally fine with that.
Fine with it.
If you're a hip-hop fan, you should know that so is Mick. And he deserves your support and things. So share this podcast with all your pals.
It's not ironic.
Share your podcast with all your pals on your Instagram stories. You can send them around. And if you know anyone trapped in a time loop, I'm very, very sorry. Hopefully they come back to you one day, or you break out of it. If this is your 8,754th time listening to this podcast, this exact episode, same. Bye.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. Welcome back to On Seomra Beag. I'm the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I am joined by the man who knows that when that hotline bling, that can only mean one thing. It's Benjamin.
I can't do it anymore. I quit.